Four blindfolded German soldiers stumble down the Ardennes road. Frozen mud crunches under their heavy jackboots. It is December 22nd, 1944, just outside Bastogne. Inside a dim command post, the cold is a physical weight. It presses into the floorboards like heavy furniture. The air smells sour. It is a thick blend of unwashed wool, burnt cordite, and the dried sweat of men who have not bathed in 6 days. In the corner, an artilleryman rests his eyes. General McAuliffe is fast asleep. The stifling silence hangs heavy as an aide steps forward to shake his shoulder. A man deep in exhausted slumber is about to make a blind reflex decision. The lives of thousands now hinge on the mood of a soldier who just wants to sleep. Seven dirt and cobblestone roads converge on the small Belgian town of Bastogne. Military planners call it a road octopus. Right now, to the men on the ground, it is nothing but a frozen trap. The sky overhead is a solid roof of thick gray lead. It is shut tight. Transport planes cannot fly in this weather. The C-47s stay grounded. That means no rations, no medical bandages, and no heavy winter gear drop from the clouds. The P-47 Thunderbolt fighters cannot dive in to provide close air cover. The paratroopers of the 101st Airborne Division are entirely alone in the pine woods. Down in those trees, the earth is hard as cast iron. Standard folding shovels bounce right off the dirt. Men drop to their knees. They try to carve out shallow foxholes with their bare hands and combat bayonets. You hear the sharp, rhythmic clink of steel scraping hopelessly against the rock-solid soil. Fingers split open in the biting wind. Blood freezes into dark red crusts before it can even drip down their numb knuckles. In one miserable depression in the dirt, a 19-year-old kid from the Yucatan sits shivering in the snow. He has never seen a real winter before this week. He holds his buddy's muddy boots in his lap. He frantically rubs the stiff leather. He massages the freezing feet inside, fighting off frostbite hour by hour, just trying to keep his friend's toes from turning black. The thermometer drops lower with every passing hour. The gray sky remains firmly locked. Artillery shells are rapidly bleeding out. The winter freeze is going to kill these paratroopers long before the enemy gets the chance. Yet, the ice in the air is only the beginning of their trials. On December 17, 1944, the command roster of the 101st Airborne Division is a hollow shell. Major General Maxwell Taylor is sitting across the Atlantic in Washington. His assistant, Brigadier General Gerald Higgins, is in England. The division needs a leader immediately. The job falls squarely on the shoulders of General McAuliffe. He is an artillery commander who suddenly finds himself running an entire airborne infantry operation. General Dwight D. Eisenhower orders them forward from Reims. They do not drop from the sky. Instead, they climb into the beds of open cargo trucks. The men ride 300 miles through a punishing, freezing rain. Water sheets off their steel helmets. It completely soaks through their canvas jump jackets. The wind cuts right through the wet fabric. They shiver as the heavy tires grind through the mud toward the Ardennes. As the convoy pushes forward, a grim procession passes them going the exact opposite way. It is the battered remnants of the 28th Infantry Division. The retreating men walk in a slow, single-file line along the slushy shoulders of the road. Their uniforms are torn. Their rifles drag low to the ground. The paratroopers in the trucks lean over the wet wooden sideboards. They stare down into the hollow, empty eyes of soldiers who have just walked out of a meat grinder. No one says a word. The silence between the two columns is heavier than the roar of the diesel engines. The trucks just keep rolling forward into the teeth of the German assault. It is a bitter irony of war. An airborne division rides in muddy trucks, led by an artilleryman, rushing to bleed for a Belgian crossroads they cannot even find on a map. They are driving blindly into a steel jaw that is already snapping shut. "Don't give up on account of us, General Mac." The words are quiet, but they cut right through the groans of the dark medical ward. Inside the town of Bastogne, the reality of the siege is measured in broken bodies. On the night of December 19th, General McAuliffe walks into this makeshift hospital. A thick, metallic smell of fresh blood mixes heavily with the sharp sting of antiseptic. Men lie directly on the hard floor, packed tight. You hear the wet, ragged wheezing of punctured lungs. You hear the low moans of kids bleeding through their dirty bandages. McAuliffe stops by a stretcher. A young soldier lies there, his face smashed and heavily wrapped in soiled gauze. He struggles to rise up on his elbows to deliver that single, breathless plea to his commander. The general looks down at the boy. He nods once. Out in the freezing mud beyond the town, the guns are going quiet. 36 American howitzers stand dialed in, but their barrels are cold. Ammunition is critically low. The order comes down from command. They are allowed exactly 10 rounds per gun per day, not one shell more. Men of the 969th Field Artillery Battalion, an all-African-American unit, carefully load those precious rounds. They fight shoulder to shoulder with white paratroopers in the frozen dirt, bleeding into the exact same snow. McAuliffe pushes the heavy wooden door of the ward open. The freezing wind hits his face instantly. He steps back out into the black, bitter night. He carries the heavy, unspoken weight of dying men who just ordered him to hold the line. But holding the line requires bullets, and the supply depots are entirely empty. The enemy knows exactly what the Americans lack. It is late morning on December 22nd. Inside the dim command post, an American officer unfolds a crisp, white sheet of paper delivered by the enemy. The stiff parchment rustles loudly in the freezing, dead-quiet room. The message is a blunt, formal demand for immediate surrender. It spells out a precise, mathematical execution. The German command promises to unleash 1 entire artillery corps and 6 heavy anti-aircraft battalions directly onto the trapped paratroopers. The paper dictates a strict, non-negotiable deadline. They give the Americans exactly 2 hours, 120 minutes until Bastogne is erased from the map. You can hear the sharp, mechanical ticking of a metal field watch strapped to a shivering wrist. Every second feels heavy in the frozen air. But the ink on the page is a lie. General Heinrich Freiherr von Luttwitz is playing a massive hand of poker with an empty deck. He does not have the firepower to back up his typed words. He has already confessed the truth to his own higher-ups. The heavy German artillery has already rolled right past the besieged town. Those big guns are pushing rapidly further west toward the Meuse River. The massive bombardment threat is a complete phantom. The muddy, exhausted men standing in the cold American command post do not know this. They only see the typewritten words promising fire and steel. The ticking watch keeps counting down. The clock is running out on a grand bluff they cannot see through. They have exactly 2 hours to face a ghost army. The men look toward the corner of the room, waiting for an answer. A sleep-deprived artilleryman now has to issue a formal reply to a death sentence. The pen is in his hand, but the ink is frozen. White breath plumes, thick like cigar smoke, in the freezing stone room. Lieutenant Colonel Ned Moore bends down and shakes the sleeping commander. General Anthony McAuliffe blinks his heavy eyes open. He is exhausted, irritable, and completely stripped of any polished military decorum. Moore quickly explains the German ultimatum. McAuliffe just grunts, mutters a single frustrated word, and rubs his tired face. Nuts. The general does not realize he just made history. He is simply a deeply tired man, annoyed at being woken up. But the clock is ticking. The staff still needs to type up a formal response to the enemy. Lieutenant Colonel Harry Kennard speaks up through the biting cold. He tells the room that the commander's initial sleepy reflex is the best possible answer they could send. They type it out. Colonel Harper grabs the crisp sheet of paper and walks back out to the Ardennes road. Major Wagner and Lieutenant Helmut Henke stand waiting in the freezing mud. Harper hands over the official reply. The German officers read it. They look up, visibly confused by the American slang. Wagner asks if the response is affirmative or negative. Harper does not hesitate. He stares straight at the blindfolded men. If they don't understand what the word means, in plain English, it is the same as go to hell. Back inside the dim, stone-walled command post, a sudden eruption of roaring, tired laughter cracks through the suffocating tension of the siege. The men wipe tears from their dirty faces. It is a strange, bitter twist of war. An unconscious, irritable mumble just stamped a bloody seal on the lives of thousands of freezing paratroopers. The laughter echoes briefly, but the Germans are about to deliver their own translation. The defiant laughter inside the command post fades quickly. Retaliation falls from the sky on the night of December 24th. The Luftwaffe arrives to deliver a brutal Christmas Eve present. Junkers 88 bombers roar overhead. They drop bright flares that tear open the pitch-black sky with blinding white light. Explosions violently shake the frozen ground. Bombs slam directly into General McAuliffe's command post, showering the exhausted staff in dust and broken stone. The acrid, choking smell of burning cordite floods the ruined streets of Bastogne. Out in the freezing woods, airborne infantrymen refuse to let the night break them. They gather in shallow, snow-filled trenches for a midnight Christmas service. Men carefully hang thin strips of metallic radar-jamming foil over broken pine branches to make crude Christmas trees. They light small, flickering wicks inside empty sea ration cans. The soft scent of melting wax mixes strangely with the heavy smoke of high explosives drifting through the trees. The quiet holds for only a few hours. As the sun rises on December 25th, the 26th Volksgrenadier Division launches a massive assault. 18 heavy German armored vehicles rumble through the morning mist. They aim straight for the weakened American perimeter. The paratroopers hold their fire until the last possible second. When the smoke finally clears over the snow, all 18 enemy tanks sit burning in the Belgian mud. The American defenders destroy every single machine. Thick black smoke rises from the metal carcasses. It offers a brief, bitter warmth to the shivering men in the foxholes. They have survived the bloody dawn of Christmas Day, but the fires from 18 ruined tanks cannot replace the artillery shells they just spent. The ammunition count drops to single digits, and the snow is starting to fall again. Heavy static crackles through the radio receiver inside the freezing command post on the night of December 25th. General Anthony McAuliffe picks up the handset to call General Troy H. Middleton. The defiant humor is completely gone. McAuliffe speaks in a quiet, worn voice. He pleads for immediate reinforcements. His men are bleeding out in the snow. They have nothing left to throw at the enemy but empty rifles and raw endurance. The answer comes the very next day. At dusk on December 26th, a deep mechanical rumble shakes the snow off the pine branches. It is not the Luftwaffe. It is the deafening roar of heavy diesel engines tearing through the Belgian woods. The 37th Tank Battalion of the 4th Armored Division is finally here. These tank crews did not just drive down a paved highway. They fought through 100 miles of frozen mud in exactly 5 days. They smashed aside every German roadblock in their path to reach the besieged crossroads. The heavy steel tracks of the Sherman tanks chew up the frozen earth, officially breaking the brutal siege of Bastogne. McAuliffe steps out of his stone headquarters into the fading evening light. He walks slowly among the foxholes. He looks down at the exhausted paratroopers. Their faces are gray, cracked, and rough as tree bark. They just stare back at the green armor rolling past them. No one cheers. They are too tired to speak. The artillery commander stops in the cold mud and watches the tanks pass. The tight muscles in his jaw slowly begin to drop. It is a long, silent observation from a man who has been locked in solid ice for 6 straight days. The road is open, but the graves remain. Today, if you stand beneath the Bastogne Town Hall balcony, you will hear a sharp wooden clatter. Fistfuls of hard walnuts bounce off the modern cobblestone. It is a loud annual tribute to General McAuliffe and his famous reply to the German army during the Battle of the Bulge. But the real story of the 101st Airborne Division is not found in a punchy quote from a warm room. It is buried out in the frozen dirt. The true legacy belongs to the cracked, bleeding hands of the men who fought the enemy with empty rifles and stiff boots. History remembers the defiant artilleryman who mumbled in his sleep. The hard truth belongs to the shivering paratroopers who simply refused to let the line break in the dark.